Afternoon. Good to see you all. Still playing here March 21. It's always good to get up, and I said last night when you're coming out of practice or coming out and it's light out, or you see the big robins on the front yard in the morning, and you're still playing basketball, it's a really good sign. So we're excited about this. We're going to leave in a couple hours to get to Kansas City tonight. We'll get to practice in the media tomorrow. Our kids are excited. That was a great weekend for us in so many ways. Continue to just have a stronger and stronger bond amongst all of us. And I know they're excited about this opportunity to play a really good Oregon team. So really talented team. I mean, very, very talented. I've been watching Dylan Brooks since he was playing with the Ontario teams earlier in his career. Tyler Dorsey, Peyton Pritchard. We've all seen them many, many times down the recruiting trail. Just extremely talented team. Jordan Bell as well, really, really good. And then we've seen Ennis playing with the Villanova team a few years ago, and also another Canadian kid who I've seen. Canada's got such a fertile ground for athletes and good basketball players, and Oregon's done a great job with getting some of those kids. So we are, but we're going to be as ready as we can be. We didn't do anything yesterday other than watch some highlights of our game with Louisville, and today will be all about Oregon and our own improvement.
Did anything stand out in watching the Louisville film that you need to correct in its story?
Well, it's really that as you get into this level of where there's only 6 teams left, the individual talent is incredible to try to guard. I still remember that when I was at West Virginia and came from Richmond, and I had all these schemes that you think we could use, and then they give the ball to Carmelo Anthony, and there was no scheme for that. And now you're getting to that, and you have to understand that there's some challenges involved with it, that you just got to do the best you can, but move on to the next play. But I really like, what I really like about what we're doing right now is how we are in the fast break. We're pitching the ball ahead. There was a play where Derek did not dribble. He usually dribbles. And then we threw it ahead to DJ. DJ did not dribble either, just laid it in at the other end, got his steps right, so stuff we work at. That you can see it's some of that. We're getting some baskets in the fast break that are like, they're chancy passes, but I want them to throw them. I want them to try and get those easy baskets. So hard to score these days. So hard to score in the half court. It's really good to get a few of those.
In the back right TV corner.
John, after last week, you now have a team that hasn't been to a Sweet 16 most of this roster ever before. So with how successful last weekend went, do you change a lot in terms of routine and game prep for these guys, or you just try to stay the course?
No, we're doing the same thing, exact same thing that we've done. The Sweet 16 is nothing. It's just another two games. So we're doing the exact same thing. I mean, it's something, but it's not like, okay, we're going to change things. No, it's the exact same prep we used before we went to the Big Ten tournament. You kind of stay sharp and rest, stay sharp and rest. And then the logistics of the travel and things like that, there's a lot of that stuff that goes through. So it's the exact same formula. Hopefully the Big Ten travel got a little more complicated, but hopefully this will be really easy.
Right in front of Chris.
Obviously, you've got different guys you want shooting free throws down the stretch, but how can DJ's emergence as one of those guys kind of make things easier on the inbound for you at the end of games, or can it?
Well, I mean, our 2 inbounds plays were just absolutely, I mean, I do not know, we have a really good scheme there, and we just blew the scheme. It was like we were, sometimes our guys, and it happened in the Oklahoma State game, we had a side out, we run something, and our guys are just posted, they don't run what we're supposed to run. Either they're tired or not focused. And that we're going to work on that today, but that was like, we had one different person in a different position, and he really regrets making the decisions he made. And but the other people have to help him as well. So we'll clean that up.
You talk about
I don't have any concerns there. But it is nice to have a 6'10" guy you can throw it to, right? Because they switch and they got a guard on him, Peyton Pritchard's on him, or something. You throw it up in the air, he fouls. It's good to know that he's a really good foul shooter.
With Wagner, it looks like he's the big energy guy for you guys, or when he comes in. Is it a fine line between kind of reining him in and unleashing him with his energy and what he does?
Yeah. Yes.
How do you walk that line?
But you just embrace it because you know there's a process he's going to go through. If you watched him, They said, if you go back to my first press conference on him, he's going to look like a star, like a can't-miss NBA player one minute, and you're going to say, how could Beilein give him a scholarship the next minute? And you're seeing more of the second than you are the first, or you're seeing more of the first than you are the second. But he is, I think we have a good enough bond where he calms down quick enough. He understands. He gets mad at himself a lot, Bob. He really gets mad at himself. But then that will carry on to the next play. So those are the things that we're sort of always dancing with a little bit. But I don't want to rob him of this energy and this passion. You heard him at timeouts. I mean, he's really into it. And sometimes we just got to tell him, and it's encouraging. It's encouraging things he's saying. We just got to tell him, will you just be quiet here and let us go through the play, because he really is so caring about winning and passionate about winning and passionate about his teammates.
Andrew?
Hey, Coach. Two-parter on the Big Ten. Do you take pride or pleasure in seeing other Big Ten teams do well in the NCAA Tournament? And then secondly, do you think that's a fair judge of how a conference has been, how they do in the tournament?
Believe it or not, I do. I really do. And I think most of our league is like that. I hit Matt Painter and I hit Greg Gard right after their games, and they both hit me back as well. It's just, I think we all are. It's going to come and go like this, and like I say, it's so hard for the committee to judge how much teams have improved, because it's apples and apples early in the year, but those apples could turn to the different. It's apples and oranges later on, because teams get better. They just get better, and some programs, their teams get better. Some leagues, they just get better. Some are really. You got some incredible coaches in this league that you're not going to just go beat them twice, right? They're going to make adjustments. It's just really hard to judge teams in those last 18 games and say, okay, they're the same team that lost to Virginia Tech back in the beginning, and December 1. I mean, my goodness, it was December, January, February, and it's 3 months later. And you're saying, well, that game is big. It is big. They have to have something, but I think we just got to. We can't worry about it. And I do think they take into account the next year. That when they do that, they say, oh, we missed on that last year. We missed on that, and let's really think about this.
Mark?
John, obviously you guys value the ball as well as anyone in the country, but the last two games is kind of extraordinary. It's been, I think, 10 total turnovers. I mean, you take out the Zach one at the end. I mean, when you look at that, why do you think when you're going so much tempo in those two games that you guys were so good with the ball?
It's not something that we just say, okay, today we got to take care of the ball. It's from like day one, the first summer practice, that we're valuing that. We really work hard. That's what you see me get so upset on walking calls, because that's a turnover, and we really work hard at our footwork so we don't have things. It's not things like, okay, we got this elaborate press breaker. It's just the day-to-day things you do every day, knowing that the way our system works is it's about possessions. And if you value every possession by not turning it over, so it's just this emphasis that we're like when we played VCU a few years ago. Right. It was like, how you can get ready in one day? We've been getting ready since September 1 for a team like VCU, that we can pivot and we can pass and hit the outside hand, and so that's the only thing I contributed to. And there's something that those two teams are doing that we were probably pretty good at executing against. So another team might have been different, because we did have some high turnover, not higher turnover games. We had 13 or something. We had 9 and 1/2 against somebody in the tournament, I think, in the Big Ten tournament. So I can't give you anything other than the kids are smart and they want to win, and they know turnovers don't help you win.
Brandon?
Hey, Coach. It looks like on paper, Oregon's kind of a little bit of Oklahoma State and a little bit of Louisville. So, from your past two games, what lessons have you kind of been taking from those two games and applying them as you've been prepping the guys for Oregon? Yeah,
they're talented, just like both those teams. No, I mean, it's great. The best thing you can do to get ready for a team is play other teams that are like them. So we just, they watched the video of it, and today we think that Oregon's going to do a lot of the things. Actually, they ran the Cowboy offense that Oklahoma State ran. Dana's run that a lot in the past at Creighton and in Oregon. He doesn't run it probably as much, But it's Johnny Orr's old offense, actually, is what Oklahoma State was running. And so, there's similarities there. There's similarities in great talent. There's similarities in offensive rebounding. So every game over the course of a season is practice for the next game. And that's what we have. We have 2 great practices, but you know what? So do they. So who responds the best and who makes their foul shots and takes care of the ball and where the ball bounces away will probably determine this one.
Brendan?
John, given DJ's kind of disposition, he's kind of a more laid-back guy. How much or how difficult was it to convince him to be a scorer?
I think he always wanted to be. That's a good question. But I think that he had to have continue to work with Sadi, with Jeff, on just embracing contact. Because he wanted to score, but he didn't want physical contact. And so you understand why, and I've said this to all you guys before, when you're 6'10" and you weigh 190 pounds, it doesn't feel good for contact. But when you're 235, 240, you still have that in your mind, even though you're hurting other people. So yeah, he's sort of starting to embrace that. When he takes that ball strong with 2 feet in the paint, in September, October, even in December, he wouldn't get through the first contact. So you got to be convinced that this is fun, embracing contact. And now he's really doing it. And so I think that he understands that he can do it. I think he's always wanted to do it, but now he can understand he can do it.
And when you see the stuff he's doing now and some of these like swooping plays that he has kind of going to the basket, are there any kind of player comparisons that jump out in your mind or anything?
I had a kid, Tyrone Sally, that's a lot like him, was only about 6'7", that was like this at West Virginia, that was really a good player. And played that position. He was a little skinnier. But it would be similar, and as he evolves as a player, right, and just learn, he's just now, he's got this quiet disposition. You should hear him now in timeouts and in just any discussion. He really thinks basketball. Him and Mo were talking the other day. He says, "Can you give me a minute here so I can coach?" Because they weren't talking. You just let me talk to the team for a second. They were going back and forth. And of course, Mo has already got a counter for what he's trying to do. So it's fun, but it's good to have kids like that they really are engaged in being better basketball players and helping their teammates.
John, this may fall right along with what you just said, but at the beginning you said this team's just growing stronger and stronger together. Is it more than just the events of the last 2 weeks? Or is it stuff like you were just mentioning there with DJ and Mo, they're just feeling more confident and everybody's feeling that?
It's all about the process again. That you go through with these young men that starts in the beginning, and they see it. If they're good kids, they're not finger pointers, they realize that there's another level of things they can do and do efficiently. Pretty soon it works. And you blow through, DJ, you blow through contact and you finish at the rim, or you finish near the rim, right? You say, oh, that's what the coaches have been talking about. And yeah, really funny. They are, what's that called? No, is there a name for that?
Photobombing?
Photobombing, press conference bombing. But once they do it, then they say, okay. It's like recognition, it's just really good for them to see them develop like that. But it's not, I can't emphasize enough, there's been so many just tremendous events. If you watch this team play Indiana early in the year, and here and there, and that was a heck of a team. And to be able to put the numbers on, you can see they had the potential. Could we do it consistently? That's what we're doing right now.
Jen?
John, you guys came into the NCAA tournament as a feel-good story, and then by Sunday it became, why not us? Mm-hmm. When did that narrative change, and was there something specific in your mind that kind of, you saw your team turning the corner? And
I think winning those 4 games in a row against who you beat, right? The teams that are all high, and Wisconsin obviously should have been a higher seed, so you beat 4 teams there. I mean, Wisconsin just beat the heck out of Northwestern. And all of a sudden you're beating them, but go beat Purdue twice in the same season. I mean, they got a tremendous, this is a Sweet 16, you beat them twice in the same season. I think that after that, these kids just said, hey, we go into this NCAA tournament, we can play with anybody after the gauntlet they just ran. Remember how hot Illinois was when we were playing them? And here we show up in practice uniforms and we play like, you know, we might have played in a couple of games like we were the Golden State Warriors, right? And I think they believe right there we just stick with it. We're going to have some breaks go our way, and they did. We can keep playing for a while.
Noah?
John, Oregon obviously lost one of its big shot blockers in Boucher. What have you
Yep.
sort of seen them in terms of what they've done to adjust to that?
The other thing that changed is he's a stretch guy too. He can shoot. So, but the kid Jordan Bell, you see a center with 60-some assists. He's a problem. He's a real problem for us because he's a really good offensive rebound, but they can play through him so much. You know, if you look at his assist numbers and our big kid's assist numbers, he's really good. So what it's done is put him as the primary big. Bringing the kid off the bench, the sophomore off the bench, who was a shot blocker as well. So that kid, I didn't see enough of him. I didn't see him other than his stats. So I have no idea. But they weren't 30 and something with him without being better with them. But at the same time, they really have enough ammo in that gun that I don't think they'll drop off too much.
We're going to take one more for James so we can get the players in. Yeah, go ahead, Jenna.
John, how much does this team kind of remind you of your 2005 West Virginia team?
That's probably the best comparison, James, you can make because they were fighting, and you know, that was a team that started out 10-0 and then couldn't win a Big East game, and then all of a sudden could win a bunch of them. But then they all bonded. But those guys, Mike Garrett, Mike Gansey, obviously Patrick, Darius Nichols, Rob Summers, guys that were on those teams, right, have reached out to me and just saying exactly what you do. So just because we had the same airplane thing and we had, you know, they had a win. The difference was they didn't win that Big East title and we did. But those two games with Wake or with Creighton and Wake were both won at the buzzer. So we were good. We were lucky. So we wouldn't even talk about it. But they sort of had the good fortune, but they deserved it. All right, thanks.